podcast. Okay, you ready?
Yeah.
Hello.
Welcome to Fake Crimes.
It's Fake Crimes.
In case you haven't noticed, we don't have like a schedule to release these.
I'm so sorry.
I'm not sorry because we do it when we're like excited about something, and it's made it so much more enjoyable.
That's true. We do have a
us.
fun time doing it.
And
now.
I feel like when we used to try to do a podcast on like a schedule with the old podcast, it was just like we didn't like doing it because it was always like
it was like a chore.
Yeah, and now it's like, oh, we have some time on Monday to record a podcast.
We could do a podcast about Sister Wives on a Monday.
Yeah.
Cute. The other thing that's really funny is that, and I might have talked about this last episode, I don't remember, but I keep saying Fake Crimes, and we literally named it Fake Crime. Like true crime. But we've been calling it Fake Crimes. Yeah.
Well, what can you do?
What can you do?
Sometimes you don't know the name of your own podcast.
Sometimes you do your own podcast so little that you don't know what its name is. Sorry.
We have a like sort of sponsor this podcast.
Oh, yeah.
Our internet friend Ames, they have
Yes.
their own podcast coming out.
They're
called,
amazing.
Just Two Queers, and it's at just the number 2 Queers Pod on Instagram.
We'll
and
tag it below.
We'll put it in the description.
Yeah.
And their co-host Kim review queer content and chat about their lives. And
Yeah.
their first episode will come out in early March.
Exciting.
Ames is a POC content creator that
Yeah.
with. And
Well, because we were gonna have them be on the pod to talk about what is the
Get
name?
Out.
To talk about Get Out. Oh my
Yeah.
god! I was like, it's like one of my favorite horror movies because it's obviously not something that like our opinion is really relevant about hardly at all. So we thought it would be cool for Black History Month. Happy Black History Month.
Yeah.
To have a Black creator come on the podcast and talk about it. And then I have to be completely honest with y'all, and I'm so sorry. Like, the way that we do the podcast is I hit record on OBS, which is our streaming thingy that does the video recording. And then I hit record on Audacity, and we do no cuts, no nothing. We are the most technologically...
It's not very advanced.
It is not.
On top of that, as I said earlier, we
Oh my god.
don't schedule the podcast.
No, that's true.
We literally
true.
decided to record this one 20 minutes ago.
Yeah, so we're chaotic little bitches.
And so it's
But
hard.
We will be getting our shit together in the next couple of months so that y'all can hear from Ames, who
Yeah.
is wonderful and
lovely.
lovely. And you should check out their podcast because I'm sure it'll be on a more
And
regular
then
basis
when
than
you
ours.
listen to it, and then you listen to ours, and then together we'll do a collab, and then you'll be like, wow, I know everybody involved.
Wow, how nice.
Anyway, shout out to Ames.
Yeah.
Thanks for being so understanding, because I was like, this will be great, and then I was like, I'm so sorry, we're so busy and
You
so
know how you get a
depressed.
wild hair and you're like, oh, this will be the best thing. And then it would have been if it had happened. And it will be in the future.
Yeah.
So that's where we're at right now with that.
You know,
Well,
sometimes you're overwhelmed,
well.
so you have to back out on some things.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Ain't that just the way?
welcome to the last Sister Wives. I assume.
Thus far.
I don't know if we'll do another one once the new season comes out next year.
Yeah.
Because
I can't imagine where we will
because what
possibly
we're
be.
doing is, if you for some reason aren't caught up, is like we're picking a new like thing to obsess over every month, essentially, to
Yes.
distract us from not being pregnant yet. So last month it was Sister Wives. This month we're watching House.
We're
And
in our House era.
We might do a fake crime episode about House.
I really think that we should because there are so many crimes taking
I don't
place.
know. I feel like the reason we can do it on Sister Wives as a show is because like it's like so much lore that's continual, and like I feel like House is very episodic, so I don't know if we could do.
I think that we could because I think that I can just have a list of things that happen in House that I'm sure would never happen in a hospital under any circumstances.
Listen, if we had a shit together, we could have another guest star of someone who works in a hospital.
Oh my god, that would be Listen, we won't. We certainly will
We
not.
won't because we don't know how.
We won't. But oh my fucking god, they break into people's houses. I've seen him torture people by not letting them have their oxygen tubes. It's a wild show.
Yeah.
Anyway, Sister Wives.
Sister Wives, I don't remember where we left off in the last one.
I don't know, but we now have seen...
We've seen everything.
the rest
as
of
far
it.
as the show.
Yes.
We're not subscribed to any of the folks' Patreons to get like
No.
their behind the scenes stuff. Gwendolyn for free, one of Christine's kids does
YouTube stuff.
YouTube stuff, which
So
is,
if you're
is
interested in
free.
hearing from one of the queer brown kids about their experience within the family and like
Brown
what
is
that
their
looked
last name.
like. Oh my god, I'm so sorry. Yes, how did I just do that? Yeah, their last name is Brown. Anyway, Gwendolyn is lovely.
Lovely. They're or she's bisexual, I think is what she said.
Yeah. She's engaged.
Officially.
I think she's super cute.
Yeah,
but,
she's engaged.
Anyway, yeah, oh my god. So I don't even know where to begin with this.
So I would say where I would like to begin.
Okay.
Is that when we started the show from season 1, people were like, you're going to hate everyone except Christine and Janelle.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's true.
I disagree.
I wouldn't say I hate anyone besides Cody, honestly.
Yeah.
And, like, hate is honestly, like, it's a strong word. He is, like, a person.
I don't know.
And I don't wish ill on anyone in the world for the most part.
Yeah.
However, this man should not have been given a TV show. And I don't respect him as a person.
No. Gosh, no.
So I would like to start with Robin because I think she's the most controversial.
Wow.
As far as, like, what we're going to say and how people apparently feel.
Yeah.
So people online say that they hate Robin, that she is, like, just as, like, vindictive and manipulative as Cody. A lot of people feel like she, like, uses her tears as, like, a weapon. And then a lot of people feel like she's the one who was, like, pulling the strings when all of their COVID stuff was going on and Cody was like, nobody's allowed to do anything.
Yeah.
So number one, I would like to say that as far as the pandemic and the COVID restrictions go, pre-vaccine.
Yeah.
Because we have different opinions on them after some of them got vaccinated and some of them didn't.
Yeah.
Pre-vaccine, I don't feel like Cody was being unreasonable. His attitude was unreasonable, but he was asking all the kids to stay home and only stay home. And that's what
people were doing.
Millions of people
That's
were
what
doing.
we were doing.
That's what we did. We sent, eventually all of us started going to the grocery store just because, like, it was an adventure to go. But all of us is 3 people.
Yeah.
Not a whole household.
We weren't like
not
going
anyone
out
in our apartment who was immunocompromised. Like we all went with masks. And we never really wiped down our groceries, but we were, like, really careful to only touch things that we were actually
A lot of hand washing, a lot of sanitizing.
A lot of hand washing. We were wiping down the doorknobs and, like, the faucet in our apartment.
Yeah. What I want to say is I've heard people say, and I've heard people say that some of the children of Sister Wives, you're right, I can't say the Brown children, Jesus Christ. Anyway, they have said that it was, like, TLC's rules that the show was following, that it wasn't actually Cody at all, and it was...
But that TLC couldn't say. I'm not wearing my wedding ring again. Every time we record the podcast, it's after I've done dishes and I don't have my wedding. The people think we're secretly divorced.
We're secretly divorced.
Sorry, go ahead.
It's a secret divorce. Anyway, it doesn't matter. I don't give a shit. That makes more sense to me. I'm surprised.
Cody suddenly being
the kind of person like, I care about other people. I care about my kids. Like, it seemed very, like, virtue signally of him. And then obviously, so, like, Robin, like, clearly cares about her essentially immunocompromised children who had, like, respiratory health scares as children, and, like, she's someone who has asthma, so, like, I think it made sense. And also Cody likes her the most, so it was obvious that during that time he was making a point to stay at Robin's house because nobody else was following their, like, COVID protocols. And in addition to that, like, he wasn't, like, calling his kids on the phone, he wasn't FaceTiming them, he wasn't going and sitting outside of their house to have, like, distance conversations from them. Like, there are ways he could have...
They say, like, COVID is the beginning of the end, and I super agree. A lot of people say that the real beginning of the end is whenever Mary got legally divorced from Cody so he could legally marry Robin. And I don't think they're wrong. I think that started something for Mary and Robin. But I think for everyone else, it clearly was,
I think, like, it was
COVID
the television show
that really kicked it into high gear.
Like,
yeah, no, the television... I'm really curious where this family would be if they had never been on this show.
Like, I think that they would be doing much better. And, like,
I think some of them... I think maybe Christine and Janelle would have left earlier. So let's do... I forgot that some people watch this that don't watch the show.
Yeah.
So the general synopsis of some highlights that have happened.
Yeah.
And it's basically, I think, just the last 2 seasons that we hadn't talked about.
So COVID happens. There's really strict COVID protocols. Cody's making a point to only stay at Robin's house and it's just clear that, like, she is the one that he likes to spend time with the most.
Well, and she is the one that's following the rules. So
yes,
Cody and Robin are, like, not only one of them is going to the grocery store. All of Robin's kids are doing homeschool, staying home. They're all wearing a mask and social distancing everywhere. They're wearing masks outside and like, with family gatherings.
They have a nanny who is also following those rules.
So that's what they say. We never see her.
I don't know.
And obviously we don't know.
And then Janelle has a couple of boys who
who are college age.
Who are like, we have girlfriends, we're going to hang out with our friends, we're going to go fuck around and, like, party.
And, like...
And Janelle's clearly, like, it is obvious that she just doesn't want to be the middleman between Cody and her kids. And she also doesn't agree with what Cody's doing.
Yeah, it's super... And I really like Christine and Janelle as people.
Yeah.
And again, like, we are only basing this off of the way that TLC edits the show.
Yeah.
So for all we know, like, when when Janelle's kids are saying, like, I'm going to keep seeing my friends, it's, like, 2 people. And granted, that's not smart, but that is different than if he's going to parties with, like, 40 people. You know, as far as, like...
Yeah, I don't love it,
regardless. No, I don't love it.
Yeah.
But it is... And, like, he is 20, and, like, they're, like, Cody is painting his 20-year-old college kids as if they are manipulative, evil people.
And it's not that.
And they, like, I do feel like if Cody from the beginning had sat the whole family down and said, like, hey, this is why it's important to me, like, even if he, like, made a scary, not scary, but, like, a little, like, PowerPoint, like he did with his fucking everyone moving to a house, like, being like, hey, here's some worst case scenarios that I am really afraid is going to happen.
Yeah.
I think they would have heard him out, because I don't think they... were being unreasonable. I think they were being stupid.
It is
20-something years old.
It's clear that the boys feel resentment towards Cody because he's not making time to call them, to chat with them. The way that they talk, and I don't know if this is true, but it sounds like literally Cody never said to the kids, these are the COVID protocols. He just stopped coming to their house,
and then the moms
told the moms to disseminate that information, and then never had another conversation about it. Which, like, they are very resentful to him about that because they don't see him. Which,
and I think also Janelle was like, basically when she is interviewed, she's like, I get why they don't respect Cody's rules. I get why
because he's never
they're
here.
hurt by them. He's never here. Like, I would much rather my kids be happy than... And Janelle is saying things like, you know, going through COVID, isolation has been worse than my postpartum depression. And I can't speak to, like, how everyone's feeling. We were all, you know, in quarantine.
We can speak to how selfish that sounds.
Yes.
Like...
Yeah, and I think the thing is, like, it sucks. The quarantine sucked. It, like, as far as... It did suck to not be able to, like, see more of our friends. And maybe, like, we were in a different position because we lived with roommates versus, like, if I was the only adult and everyone else is, you know, younger than 20 and I'm 40-something, like... I think the other thing is, there's just, like, again, it all comes down to the fact they don't communicate. Because I think if Janelle and Christine wanted to essentially combine pods, and they be, like, one big pod of 12 people, and they only saw each other, I don't think that would be, like, necessarily irresponsible.
No, not if nobody was going anywhere.
If nobody was going anywhere else,
The other thing is that the boys have jobs, and so that was Janelle's logic, and that's...
No, but they have to wear masks at their jobs.
When it first started, I don't think they did.
Oh, that I don't know.
Anyway, so there's the Janelle situation, which is basically Cody has resentment towards Janelle because he thinks that she's not, like, telling her kids that they need to follow his rules. And she's not really, because she doesn't really agree with Cody. But, like, her kids give me, like, why isn't dad coming? And she's like, well, because you guys aren't doing the things that he told you to, and, like, whatever. So then there's that. And then separately, Christine is, like, going on vacations. And, like, I love Christine, but, like, girly pop.
Both. They did not.
It's not a cute
take
look.
the pandemic seriously.
It's not a cute look. It's not. And, like, the problem from the way that the show paints it, what it looks like is that they are just, like, going on, like, sightseeing day trips, hanging out with everybody, doing whatever. And, like, while I could understand them, like, going and seeing Mykelti and Tony, like, if they had quarantined for 2 weeks and if all they did was go see them and spend time with them and then quarantine for another 2 weeks, you know what I mean? Like that makes sense to me.
Well, I guess the other thing is they could have done that and we wouldn't know.
That's what I'm saying, is that, like, we would have no idea.
Because they're only interviewing, like Christine saying, like, yeah, I went to visit my kids. I miss my kids. It's a horrible time and I want to see my kids who don't live here.
Right.
And then they interview Cody being like, I can't believe she's going on vacation.
Right.
Like, this is so disrespectful to me. I feel so disrespected. So, like, for all we know, like Phoebe said, they could have literally quarantined for, it may have been 10 days at that point, but quarantine, gone to see family, come back in quarantine.
Yeah. We wouldn't know.
We wouldn't know.
So there's that's taking place. And then there's Mary, who has been doing the quarantining the entire time.
Because she doesn't have anyone else to see.
Because she doesn't have anyone else to see. And she is not able to hang out with Robin and Cody and stay with their family because Cody just, like, clearly does not want her to. Like, the more that you see him talk about about Mary, the more, like, obviously, like, he just hates her. Like, it's clear in the way that he talks about her. It is. And it's like interviewers being like, okay, so, like, you know, do you think that this is, like, a sustainable relationship for, like, you and Mary? And he's like, it's not sustainable, but, like, that's what she's doing. So, like,
Cody's like, if Mary, he keeps saying, like, if Mary wants to leave, she can leave. But it's obvious that he wants to leave and he just won't do it.
Yeah.
Or, I don't know. And there's, like, a moment where Cody wants to talk to her because he's mad about something else, and Mary's like, at least he wants to talk to me. Like, and people going... Well, I guess let's finish the general timeline and then I'll go back to it. So,
all that's happening.
All the COVID stuff is happening. What we know, because we've Googled, is that halfway through the season, it's, like, vaccine time. Mostly everyone is vaccinated besides Cody and Robin. I don't know about Robin's kids.
No idea.
And then there's, I think, maybe just one, but at least one, maybe two of,
Janelle's kids.
no, Christine's kids who are not vaccinated. I think maybe all of Janelle's are. Oh no, because I don't think Maddie is.
I don't know.
But anyway, like most of the kids are vaccinated, took things like more seriously than some people, but not as seriously as I would have loved to see them take it, as far as like wearing masks and things like that. But like, and none of them are like COVID deniers, which is surprising. I really thought Cody would have been.
Yeah.
So then you get to the end of the latest season, and like halfway through that season, I guess, Christine says that she's leaving Cody. And somehow, magically, the other four adults like seem surprised.
Yeah.
As if, I guess, they were watching an entire different family the last 10 years.
Yeah. And the worst offender is Robin. And I feel like the hard thing about Robin is that it's so clear when you're watching her that she is someone who, like, I don't know. I don't want to like cut her slack, because the disease that she has is like, I don't know. It's like white woman, like,
I feel like the disease she has is being raised in religion.
And that's what it appears like to me. That's how it feels and seems, is that she was raised and doesn't realize the privilege she has. And also, I don't know, but like,
I don't think she realizes the choices that she has.
Yes.
And like, that's how it feels when you're raised in religion, is like, it is like truly incomprehensible to ever leave. It is like clearly earth-shattering to Robin.
Yeah.
And I guess she could be acting, but she would deserve an Oscar. Like, she seems truly so surprised.
There's that, and
Christine would leave.
There's also the fact that like she clearly wants this so badly, and while it is obvious that Cody only wants to be married to Robin, it continues to be obvious that she wants them to exist within a plural family dynamic. Like,
she
it is
literally in
important
interviews
to her.
They're like, how do you feel that Cody's been spending most of his time at your house? And she's like, that's not what I signed up for.
No, she's like, I'm sure like lots of people would be like, oh, that's great that you get to be spending the most time with him out of the other wives, but like, no, like, I signed up for this marriage to be like mostly independent. Like, that's why I'm doing this. Like, Cody and I are in a plural marriage. I want to be a part of the whole family. And it's also, I'm sure, really fucking heart-wrenching to her that she had to hire a nanny. But it's because the other women are not, they couldn't help take care of her kiddos because all their kids were like preteen and up.
I don't think they want to. Not that they hate. I don't think any.
They're
of the wives,
past they're past that time in their life.
Yeah,
they're becoming grandparents. They don't want to be like this, essentially step parents to these like young kids, Ariella and Solomon. And like that is fair.
Yeah.
That is fair. Robin has the curse of being like the young hot wife, and that's not really, it's just none of it is set up in a way that's going to be conducive for her and Cody to have a good relationship, for her to have a good relationship with the rest of the family, for her kids to feel connected to the rest of the family. Like, everything about the way that this has taken place and the individual like needs and desires that everyone had going into this, every single thing about it is mismatched. So when Robin finds out that Christine is like trying to leave, she literally is like, you guys were so happy in Vegas. And Christine's like, I have no idea what you're talking about. And it's because Robin is spiraling. It's because she wants for everything to be great and fine, and she wants it to just be, and like when
also
Christine,
Robin has her own trauma of her divorce from her monogamous marriage beforehand,
right,
and it like really comes out.
It's a very obvious,
because she is also getting divorced when Christine leaves. Like, at least that's how she feels. It's
like the closest, basically, and it's like smaller than the way that Cody's divorced from her, but like she is a part of their family that's breaking off. I don't even fucking know. Like, it's not okay, the things that Robin is saying, but it's obvious that she is having like a very visceral trauma response to what is taking place. And again, like, while that's not okay, I feel like if it was really bothersome to Christine, then maybe I would have more like animosity about Robin. But anytime Robin's saying something, she's like, no, that's not what's happening. That doesn't make sense. And it's Christine like gentle parenting her and being like, sweetheart, that has been my experience. And also like, it's my call.
Christine's doing the entire last 2 seasons.
Holy shit. Yeah.
I feel like it's super obvious Christine's been going to therapy, and we haven't seen it a lot.
Yeah.
But like, it is super obvious in the way that she's speaking.
Yes.
To marry to anyone, to say like, I'm hearing that. You know what? It makes sense that you would feel that way. Like,
right.
That is completely
I want
fair.
you to feel safe right now.
I want this to be a safe conversation. Or she'll say things like, this is not a safe conversation for me.
Yeah.
And like, she's gentle parenting her own relationship. And while like, I think everybody does have to do that a little bit.
Yeah.
she's the only one doing it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
She's the only one trying to better her communication between her and Cody.
She's putting in that work. And it's like every single time Cody says something to her, he's just like completely outraged. And it's her just being
He's trying to start an argument.
Every single time, no matter what he says, he's like, you don't want my kids to see me. And she's like, no, I'd love for you to see them more. They don't see you as much as they'd like to see you. He's like, well, I'm going to make a room for Truly at Robin's house. And she's like, that would be great. Truly would love to come stay with you. Like, that would be wonderful. I would.
Because Christine announces that she's moving back to Utah.
Yes.
And the rest of the family is still in Flagstaff, Arizona.
They're like, what the fuck? And Janelle is over here like, hell yeah, girly, go right ahead. That's great.
Janelle and Christine have always been pretty close, but
Besties.
they've really gotten close on the show that you can see.
Yeah, well, it's because Christine raised Janelle's kids. Like, Janelle was off working and Christine raised her kids, so they essentially function like platonic married girly cops.
They are partners.
They are, and it's really sweet. And it's Cody being so angry at Janelle because she's not resentful towards Christine for leaving. She's like, no, I get it. Like, that's fair. And the other thing, and the whole crux of this, is that the reason on the TV show, the way they frame it, that Christine decided she was going to leave Cody is because she said to Cody, like, when are we going to be physically intimate? And they say it a lot, like, fluffier than this. They say it so you can't really tell. She's like spend time together as man and wife is like the what they keep
what
saying.
She say?
And he says something to the effect of like, I don't have any interest in doing that with you. And she's like, that doesn't seem fair that I don't get to have sex
she
the rest
literally
of my
says
life.
like ever, and he says like, no, I don't think so. And then she's like, so for the rest of our lives, you get to be intimate with other people, but I don't. And essentially, he says like, well, lots of people have functional marriages
without being intimate, which is fine, and that's totally cool.
That is true, but that's not
what she signed up for. And the other thing is that Janelle, this has always been very obvious. Wild to me that they talk about it this much on reality TV that it's so obvious, but her and Cody do not have an intimate relationship, and Janelle does not give a shit, and that's great.
I don't know if Janelle is asexual or demisexual.
She has like very much that energy about her.
Or I mean, she could also literally be like,
it's just not something she prioritizes,
queer and like just not.
Oh, that's true.
You know what I mean? I think all of the wives. For sure, and maybe it's just because we are projecting.
Well, and because
all of them have moments where we're like, "That was a little gay."
Yeah, but they do exist together as women who are partners way more than Cody's a partner to them in some ways. So like, I think that it makes sense.
That's true. It's gonna happen anyway.
But
like, not physically, but you know what I mean.
Yes, but so it is clear that Cody has, and they talk about this in the conversation, like in their like women tell all version like interviews that they do. Cody obviously has made it clear to Mary that he doesn't want to have sex with her anymore. And Mary is going to keep trying to get Cody to want to have sex with her. Janelle and Cody have made it clear to each other they don't want to have sex anymore. And they really like dig just being friends. Like they have like a really like open and kind and like soft relationship. And like they've
said several times since the beginning of the show, like they're not very intimate.
They don't really have any interest in boning or kissing or like being anything.
I mean, she grabs like his butt like a couple times and they like flirt a couple of times.
They do talk about like Janelle thinking it's sexy when Cody wears like a ponytail,
and I think that's really sweet. Yeah,
it's cute, but it's whatever.
It's not the same as like being like, I would like to bone, and maybe they do. I don't know. A couple of times before the end of before the tell-alls, rather, the end of the like filmed and then edited like reality show part of the series, because at the end of every season they do a tell-all. But anyway. A couple of times in that.
Was that your foot?
No.
Oh my god. It scared me.
They're like, you know, Janelle, are you and Cody okay? And she just keeps saying like, we're fine, and like changes the subject. So we. So anyway, the actual season before the tell-all ends with Christine, like moving to Utah. She finds a place super close to McKelty, and not too far from Aspen, I think.
Yeah.
And that's really great. Cody and Mary basically are never seeing each other. Every now and then Mary comes to see Robin. And as far as the end of the season, Robin and Mary are like, okay. They clearly used to be much closer, but like, they're fine.
It's whatever. They're like, I'm fine.
So we get to the tell-all.
I want to say.
Oh, go ahead.
This is happening, as like the divorce of Christine is happening, it is so obvious that because Mary is someone who's not having sex with Cody, and she's like, everybody else kind of should. It's like Janelle's also not having sex with Cody. And Janelle is like, Christine, you have to do what's best for you. And Mary, who is also not having sex with Cody, is like, no, I'm sticking it out. Why aren't you sticking it out?
Yes.
So it's clear that like the shit feelings that Mary has towards Christine, she doesn't like express them a ton. Like she's just kind of like a little bit snotty and they're like big conversations, and she's like, well, why do I need to be here if you're just leaving? Which like whatever, like that's an anger response that people can have to like change and like grief, like whatever. it's just very clear. And Cody's just like, why aren't you in this like all the rest of the wives are?
Yeah.
And it's literally Christine
Cody's
being
like, Mary's sticking it out, and I haven't touched her in years.
Yeah.
And Christine says, like, it's not, she very nicely essentially says, like, it's not my business to decide what's best for Mary. It is my business to decide what's best for me. And, like, I would never want what you and Mary have.
Yeah. And she's like, and I don't want for Mary what you and Mary have, which I think is completely valid. Completely fair. Anyway.
So we get to the tell-all. It's 3 parts. It is the most bonkers one. We never watched the, like, what did they call them before tell-all?
I don't know.
So at the end of every season,
interviews.
they weren't one-on-one. That was the thing.
Oh, you're right.
So they used to be all 5 adults talking with this girlie who we didn't really know, and they were always really boring in my opinion. But then a couple seasons ago, they switched to one-on-one interviews, and they were way more interesting. So we, because people were more honest when they weren't right in front of whoever they were talking about, obviously.
Right.
So we did start watching those. But anyway, we get to the tell-all, and, like, you know, basically we already knew that Christine was leaving. And, like, the second one, I think Janelle says, like, Cody and I are separated. And then you're like, oh my God. Like, that is news. That has not been seen yet. Like, what the heck? And then basically both him and Mary separately were like, I don't know what kind of relationship we have, but it's not good. And then a few weeks ago, like, officially they got word that Mary and Cody are, like, officially separated.
It was like joint Instagram. They essentially posted, like, the same, like, hey, like, please give our family privacy in this time, like, Mary and Cody, like, we have decided to end our marriage, as it were, essentially.
So now he's only married to Robin spiritually and legally.
Yeah.
As far as, like, right now.
If Robin has to get a divorce from this man, which I think is very probable.
I don't know if she would.
You don't think so? You think she'd just stick it out with him?
As someone, I think, so going back to where we essentially started before we did the small chronological thing, I completely get, I get why people have issues with Robin. I feel like them saying they hate her feels like misogyny.
That's how it feels to me.
Because, like, she is not set up for success from the get-go. And granted, a lot of us aren't, and you should go to therapy and work on that. And I completely agree. She is drowning in a relationship where it's nothing like she thought it was going to be. She says over and over again that she fell in love with Cody because of who he was when they first married. And
because of his family.
Because he was in love with his family. She loved to watch him be in love with his other wives. And, like, some people, I guess, may think that's gross or whatever, but honestly, I don't feel like it's any different than,
No, it's compersion. It's like polyam folks being like, oh, I love when my partner's happy about
I think it's partner. Also, like, let's say that you and I started dating and you already had 1 kid.
Oh, yeah,
And I would be like, I love to watch them with how much they love their kid.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like, I don't know, I think it's exactly like that. You're seeing, like the familial love when you're seeing that for her.
In that, yeah.
Yes.
That's
and
fair.
then I think also, like, when you grow up in religion, and granted, I didn't grow up Mormon specifically, so, like, take this with a grain of salt. But, like, it really is, like, I cannot explain to you, if you've never experienced it, how much it is your entire life. She truly, like, her brain does not see a world in which she is not in this religion, in this marriage. Like, I don't think she'll leave because I don't think she feels like there's truly an option to. And that's why it's so world-shattering that these other women are leaving, because she doesn't think it should be, like, possible. It's like walking outside in the middle of summer and it's, like, snowing and everything's canceled and all of your winter clothes are somehow destroyed. And you're like, okay, so how am I going to survive?
Yeah.
Because this is 1, impossible, and then 2, I don't have the tools to survive it. So, like, now, Robin said some things in the tell-all that were
so shitty. Girly Papa said some shitty things. She talks about how, like, Cody continues to love his other wives through them, like, gaining weight and getting stretch marks, which is completely fucking an unhinged thing to say, obviously. She says that, like, him and Christine aren't actually divorced until Christine sleeps with another man, because spiritually they're married, and, like, their marriage is a spiritual marriage, so they're not technically divorced, which, again, like, if these were things that were bothersome to Christine, then I would have more frustration with them. But, like, they bring it up to Christine, and Christine's kind of like, okay, like, I don't practice that religion. I don't believe in that religion. So, like, I'm not concerned about, like, the ways in which we're spiritually married.
I guess, like, they are supposed to go to some council in the Mormon church to get like
The
spiritually
FLDS
divorced.
specifically, not like Mormons.
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
Sorry.
yeah. No, I mean,
In their church.
it's different, which is
Yeah.
also funny because Cody essentially has said that like they haven't had any like communication with their like FLDS church for an extended period of time, so they're kind of like their own sect of it at this point, basically, because they haven't
so
had any,
interesting.
which is also really fucking interesting because you hear Robin. This is just, it's clear the difference between how they feel about their religion and how they feel about their marriage. But it's Sukiyana, I think is what her name is, the interviewer who's, oh my God, I'm
love her.
obsessed with her. But it's her talking to Cody being like, do you feel like you and Christine are divorced? And it's because like, you know, supposedly if you guys aren't divorced, you're gonna like, she's gonna be in heaven with you. And it's basically Cody being like, that's not really my problem, that's God's problem, and God's not gonna make me like stay with that like girly pop because like we are a terrible couple and Christine is someone who's vindictive and shitty and I can't stand her, and like, you know, like she doesn't even believe in our religion anymore, so it really doesn't make sense to think that she would come to heaven with us. But like regardless, like kind of none of my business, like whatever, I guess we'll see what happens. Whereas Robin, and I feel like Cody, what he has said is a very like agnostic take.
What I feel like, and I could be wrong, I'm not in their heads, and again, we're only basing this off of how TLC has edited these interviews.
Yeah.
But what it feels like is that Robin's religion is truly her everything.
Yeah.
It is her mindset. She eats and breathes it. Like,
Number one.
It is important to her. And I
Yep.
think Cody is using the religion and has continued to use the religion
As a way to boost his ego.
as a way to boost his ego, as a way to justify being in these relationships. And I think maybe he truly was just supposed to be polyamorous.
Yeah, whatever.
Not like, because it seems like he doesn't really, I think he would be fine if there were brother wives or whatever. He says he wouldn't.
Brother husbands.
Brother husbands, yeah, sorry. Like,
I don't think he would, because he needs everybody's attention to be on him
That's
all
true,
the
I
time
guess.
in a very negative way. There are people who love attention. We make content on the internet, right? So like, you know,
he demands attention.
He demands attention, and he also like anytime as he gets more and more power, like he becomes more and more shitty and unkind and like unempathetic, and like him, which I think we talked about the Isabel's surgery, but him literally being like, well, can you go by yourself to New Jersey to do your surgery? And her sobbing. Like he doesn't think about the way that his words affect people because he has Michael Scott disease in that way. And it was a little bit obvious before, when clearly it was like Cody's like the stupid golden retriever husband and he has like 3 hot women who boss him around, and like that's how it is. Like it's obvious now that he is like a shitty little fucking blonde chihuahua who is just like biting everybody's ankles and like needs to scream. And I also want to be really clear that chihuahuas are only like that because people treat them shitty. So like there are chihuahuas that are nice. It's not that I think that those dogs are bad, but oh my fucking God, like he's just a monster. Like he literally is like, he's
obsessed with himself.
He's perpetually acting out. He's never not acting out. And like, oh my fucking God.
There's a very, very sad moment that they show in the show of Gabe, who is one of Janelle's kids. Who I don't remember if Cody calls him or he calls
Cody on his birthday.
On Gabe's birthday.
Gabe calls Cody on Gabe's birthday.
And all Cody does is complain because it's like he has COVID and Robin has COVID because they didn't get vaccinated.
Yes.
And he just Cody complaining about his own ailments for 20 minutes or whatever.
Yeah.
And then Gabe's like, okay, well, and Gabe doesn't remind him that it's Gabe's birthday.
Yeah.
So he hangs up, and then apparently like later, you know, Cody tries to call and be like, hey, sorry, I totally forgot your birthday, like da da da. And I'm sure it's because Robin reminded him. And like that's the other thing is I feel like when people are talking shit about Robin, like I feel like, again, just from what we've seen on the show, it feels like she is driven by wanting these to work.
Yeah.
And it's because she wants to ignore the bad of the family's like dynamic. She wants to ignore, but I think overall she does want it to work out. There's like a very nice moment where they decide to have this like socially distanced like barbecue thing where they make a bunch of different fires and every family stands with their fire like on their Coyote Pass property. And Robin, like, tells Cody, like, hey, it'd be really nice if you made Mary a s'more, and then walked it over to her.
Yeah.
And when the producers asked Robin about it, she's, like, a little smiley, and she's like, I don't know what you're talking about. Like, Cody did that because he's a nice husband.
Right.
And, like, there's a couple of moments like that where it's clear that Robin was like,
and it's
hey,
Mary being like, oh my God, thank you so much. Because Cody can't even conceive of what would be considerate to
Like a
do
nice
for a
gesture.
person. I also want to say Gabe and Peyton, and there's somebody else, who are like shitty little, like very stressful alt-right QAnon, like yuck. Very, very
Trumpy.
stressful Trumpy shitheads. That being said, the reason that those people are created are by shitty fathers like Cody, who don't give them any fucking attention and set a horrible example
Yeah.
of like fucking toxic
And
masculinity.
only caring about yourself.
And only caring about yourself. And so it's literally, it's Gabe like sobbing in this interview because his dad didn't remember that it was his birthday. And it's like, yeah, that fucking blows. And like, you know, I don't think that we should feel bad for shitty, stressful. I hope that like somebody can, I don't even know. I don't even fucking know.
I hope they learn and grow and do better.
Yeah.
I can't speak for the kids as much as I can Cody.
No,
we haven't seen them as much as we have
and
Cody.
also like it's not. I don't think it's much of our business to talk about the kids anyway because like they, I don't know. They didn't consent to being on this show.
No.
Not one of them was old enough to have informed consent and be like, yes, I would like to be, you know, seen for the rest of eternity as someone who is a like C-list celebrity. Like that's not fucking fair.
Mm-hmm.
Like they were like what 14 at the oldest.
Logan's
like 15
I
when
think
the show
Logan's
starts?
15 when the show starts.
Oh my god. Oh my
that's so
god.
young.
That's terrible.
Yeah, so it's I don't know, but the other kids we haven't seen Leon, Mary's kid, in
Yeah.
maybe the whole last season.
Yeah.
Right before everything shut down, Leon and their fiance were looking at wedding venues.
Yeah.
And they, as far as I know, still aren't married.
I hope they're having a great day.
I think they're just engaged, and they've now been engaged for like 5 or 6 years.
I don't know.
Because it keeps getting pushed back. But
Yeah.
and then Logan we haven't seen in several seasons.
Yes.
And good for them.
Yeah.
I hope if the kids don't want to be on the show, they never have to again.
Yeah.
And I assume that it's because they turn 18 and TLC has to make them sign their own release, and they
Right.
don't.
Yeah.
And I don't blame them.
No, I wouldn't.
And like, you know, and obviously they're super fascinating, and if they want to be on the show, similar to how we are content creators and we put
Well, and
out...
like what Gwen is doing. Like Gwen has a YouTube channel, and
Yeah.
I'm sure she's making like good fucking money on her
Oh,
YouTube
yeah.
channel, and good for her.
So is
like,
McKelty. McKelty actually had a video from Instagram where people were like, you know, how was Mary? And she says Mary was really like emotionally and verbally abusive.
Yeah.
And McKelty phrases it super well as far as like it doesn't seem like she has any animosity. It seems like McKelty understands like it wasn't cool and it wasn't fair, but like I don't think it was actually personal. I think Mary has her own stuff that she has going on, and she shouldn't have been like, either she shouldn't have been part of our family or she should have dealt with her stuff. And when
you have a shit ton of people who have a lot of trauma, and then you put them all together and you don't teach them any coping skills, and then you put that on TV, like it's not gonna fucking go well. Like there's no way it's gonna go well. And I don't think that any of them are like evil people. I think that there are a couple of them who like needed attention that they didn't get, and like honestly, isn't that like the majority of the human like experience? You know what I mean?
think
like
the other thing is like, number one, they started the show to be like plural marriage isn't our issue. And again, as we've said several times, they're right. That's not the issue. I'm sure there are several people who are in like plural marriage or polyamorous relationships or whatever that have a great time and everybody communicates. However, in this specific instance, and especially when it's like tied to a religion that is super old and white supremacy or white supremacist
yeah.
and like very focused on like putting men at the head of the household regardless of everything, like,
oh my god,
it's just not gonna go well.
I think that the thing is that like plural marriage, I do have beef with. I do, because the structure and the culture around it is entirely based on those like this religion that is very patriarchal and like deeply stressful. And there are other religions that like I don't have any beef with. You know what I mean? But I feel like it's so clear in this case with FLDS that like I don't know. And they clearly sought out to make this to be like, see, not everybody has Warren Jeffs energy. And it's like,
well,
whoa.
that's true. They're not marrying child brides.
Right. They said, whoa, not all Mormons. And like, okay, but also like Jesus Christ, you know?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So yeah, people have a lot of issues with Robin. People have a lot of issues with Mary, and Mary is not perfect by any means.
No, my God, no.
Mary, I do think, could be a narcissist, maybe like not in the same way that Cody is, in the way that like I don't know if she thinks, and I could be wrong. It does seem every now and then when you watch her like maybe she only thinks of everybody as an extension of herself. But is that because she's truly a narcissist and she's always been this way? Is that a learned behavior from Cody because he treats everyone as an extension of
Is
himself?
that part of how they are cutting the show?
Right.
Because nobody really liked Mary in the beginning because Mary is like obviously the one who is
I think Mary,
most strong-willed.
Phoebe said it at first and I laughed, but I think Mary is either autistic or like she's not neurotypical. That's for sure.
And I don't think it's okay to like be verbally abusive to children
That
if
doesn't
you're
excuse it.
if you're neurodivergent.
But if you go unchecked for anything, depression, anxiety for long enough, like you will melt down. Like you can't. You have to make your environment work for you, and you can't stay in an environment that doesn't work for you over and over and over again without lashing out. And again, that doesn't make it okay.
No. And I don't know what kinds of conversations she has with the children that we don't ever see when they were kiddos, right? I have absolutely no idea. What I will say is that scene where Mary has to quickly move all of her shit because it's like
she's in like
the
a fire
third time
zone.
that she's moved and she's like in a fire zone and like all the cameras are there and she screams at Christine in front of cameras. That's not an okay way to talk in front of children under any circumstances. The kiddos watching that are scared.
Mm-hmm.
Like Ariella and Solomon who are there, that is scary and stressful for them. And no adults, like that shouldn't be something that is the norm of something that adults do. That being said, if you are someone who is having like breakdowns like that and have your own shit that you need to deal with and you're not on a reality TV show, people aren't ripping you to shreds for it because it's not even something that's like societally as thought of as not being okay.
If you see a mom yell at a kid in a grocery store and she's overreacting, people wouldn't record it and then put it online and give her horrible nicknames and like it might go viral
for years, for
once.
10 fucking years. Like that wouldn't happen.
And again, I keep saying this, but we're only basing it off of how they edit the show. God. So like more stuff may come out and we might change how we feel about Mary, but right now like I do think it doesn't change the fact that she was clearly abusive to those kids. I do think it's different than
any one of those kids who is like fuck Mary, good for them.
Yes.
That is fine. Any child who makes a decision to cut off their parent because their parent didn't anytime a kid cuts off a parent, it's always the parent's fault because the parent was the one who was the grown-up who didn't deal with regulating their own emotions, who didn't like so like all that is completely fine.
Yeah.
What I don't think is cool in general is this like puritanical like justice bullshit that the internet does. And I'm not trying to say like cancel culture, like that's not the vibe, but it does like genuinely weigh on a person and like people being like fuck Mary for running her little LuLaRoe things and being snotty to people who she's trying to sell clothes to. I'm so certain that people are heinous to her. They all
are.
The time.
If you look at any of like their live recordings, it's just people in her live recordings and her live sales just like bullying the shit out of her.
So of course she's gonna react that way.
And she can't leave. Like she doesn't have.
How is she supposed to make money?
How is she supposed to do anything? Like she has to keep selling.
If you're a brand, you're not fucking hiring Mary from Sister Wives to do a collab. You know what I mean? Anybody like that, like someone who's so volatile. Gabby Hanna is not getting product things. You know what I mean? Like folks who are a level of visibly not stable to the whole world, and it's people who need help. And also Mary has a shit ton of privilege, right? Like she is a white woman, she is like there are obviously people who have it much harder. It's not that, but I think that it's so easy for folks to shit on some of the wives from Sister Wives because of this, like, I don't know, it feels like internalized misogyny.
I also feel like what happens, especially like anyone who's in like a cult or a really big religion, people will be like, you're so stupid to not see.
That's not fair.
And it's not, because like Mary, all of them grew up in this religion.
Yeah.
And like it's just so hard to explain that when you're taught like this is the way from the time that you're born. Like it is so hard. It's a cultural differences
thing. It makes total sense.
And like Phoebe said, she does have a lot of privilege. I'm not trying to say no. She should never have anything bad happen to her, but I am saying like I do feel bad that people go on her lives and relentlessly bully her over and over and over, because at least she got vaccinated.
Yeah.
At least it does feel like she was trying to
be supportive of Leon when they came out.
Yes, like
it seems like she's trying to make a point to like be supportive of, and if Leon has cut off Mary, fucking good for them. Yeah, all of that shit is none of our business.
Yes,
but it is something that we see folks on the internet talking about, and it's something that I think I don't know. Here
we can't actually make any. any judgments on...
Oh my God, no.
We can't really make any judgments on anything.
On anything.
But especially, like, the kids' relationships to the parents as far as what they should and shouldn't do.
Yeah.
That's not our call.
No, my God.
I can say,
None
like, any of the kids who want to cut off the parents, good for them, because you shouldn't put your kids on reality TV.
Yeah. Step one. Shouldn't do that.
Step two, like, it sounds like a lot of the kids really loved having this many siblings, and that makes total sense.
Yeah.
Like, if you meet anyone who has a lot of cousins, they're always like, oh my God, I loved Christmas.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, that makes total sense. I think most of the siblings have good relationships with each other, and to give credit where credit is due, Christine did most of the parenting of the little kids. Yeah. And she seems to have done great for the most part. From what we can see, it seems like most of the kids can regulate their emotions, which is interesting because Cody cannot.
No. My God, no.
But, you know, that is different than us making judgments on these parents who are adults and were adults the whole time. Yeah. I don't know. Like, basically, overall, it is super interesting. If you need something to focus on, there's more that we haven't even learned. If you really wanted to, you could subscribe. A couple of the kids have Patreons where they talk about their childhoods and have, like, stuff that... And other people, like... illegally, I don't know if it's illegal, I guess, but other people record it and re-upload it, which isn't cool. If you want to, like, support these kids, you should support them. But,
yeah. Oh my God, yeah.
Yeah, like, it's been a lot. We're definitely going to keep watching it, I think.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
It's super interesting. I don't think there's ever going to be any hope for Cody to ever become a better person. So I wouldn't even wish for that. I do wish for all of the wives to get therapy to unlearn what they've learned in their religion.
I would love for as many of those kids to be at peace with their relationship with their father as possible. Because I think that, I think the other thing that continues, like, as a person, in general, folks don't typically, like, you're always going to be able to see something positive about a situation that happened, right? So, like, as far as I know, I don't think any of those kids are going to be like, everything about my childhood is the worst thing that could have, do you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, there are obviously really lovely things. Like, there are obviously, like, good parts that happen for them. It's just, yeah, I mean, like, don't have 21 kids with only 5 adults total, because, like, 5 kids per adult, that's not enough. Mm-mm. That's not enough, like,
also the parents aren't home enough. It would be physically impossible.
No. And that's the thing.
Cody could be the best dad in the world, and he couldn't be, because you cannot be a father to that many people.
No, and it's like, I think that's the other thing is that, like, it's, you say that, and you're like, oh, that's like 5 kids, like, per parent to be home with them and spend time with them all the time. No, like, 4 of them are constantly working because they have so many mouths to feed. You know what I mean? So I think it makes sense that they all split up into their little different kind of, like, sections. Like, yeah, and, like, into these different homes, and, like, I don't know, I don't think there's anything that they could have really done better other than having been to years of therapy before being on television. And that was never going to happen for them because they were raised in this religion.
I think Cody took the show, and I don't know how it worked. I don't know if he wanted the show and he campaigned for it and TLC picked it up. I don't know if TLC heard about him and they approached him. We have no idea how it happened. Yeah. I think Cody decided to do the show because he wanted people to see him. He loves to be the center of attention. He loves the power. And I think the wives were like, this could really bring money into the family. Yeah. And that's true. And I think continually, even though, like, you know, Mary and Robin especially really aren't the best example of how to be, like, a good friend or a good wife or even a good parent sometimes, I do think that for the most part overall, they all seem to want what is best for those kids. And I don't think that's true for Cody.
No,
I think he might think it's true, but he wants what's best for Cody.
Hey, will you do the years wasted?
Oh my God. He's gotten, like, so dramatic. And I love drama, you know, when I'm not involved in it. But Christine is just, like, very calmly explaining, like, you know, this is the day I'll be moving to Utah. Like, you know, I would love for you to have 50-50 custody with Truly. I'll drive her here as often as you want to, like, house her. Like, is being very reasonable. Also, when he says he's leaving, or when she says she's leaving, Cody over and over keeps only mentioning Truly.
Yeah.
Even though I think
he's got other kids. He also keeps saying that he doesn't give a shit about them once they're not a minor anymore.
Which has not been the case before.
No, he's like, once they're like over 15, like I don't really give a shit. And that's not even a minor. Like that's still like a teenager.
Yeah.
I don't
he's
know.
like, once you can feed yourself, like you don't need me as much.
Yeah.
And it's like...
He's like, I got so many kids, I gotta focus my energy on the ones who need me. And it's like, okay, you clearly don't fucking know Truly. And also you almost killed her, but whatever.
Yeah. So anyway, Christine's like very calmly with all the wives there, and Cody is like, you know, this is my plan. This is what I'll be doing. I just want to tell everyone in person, which I think is really responsible.
And she has told Cody multiple times. She packed all his shit up. Every single time one of these things happens, it's like closer to Christine literally like moving and leaving. Like she's told him at every like 5 step in this process. And every single time he's like, I don't understand. Are you actually leaving? And it's like, yes, that is what she has said. And it's him being like, I didn't agree to that. And it's like, that's why it's called a divorce, buddy. That you don't need two people to consent to. Anyway, go ahead.
Especially when it's not legal. He doesn't have to sign anything.
Exactly.
So anyway.
They're just fuck buddies, basically.
They're legally. Like outside, and she's like, you know, this is what I'm doing. And he's like, he gets out of his chair and he's like pacing back and forth. And he's like, the sacrifices I've made to love you. Years wasted. And it's like, I have no idea how the other women aren't laughing. Like,
it's so funny, and it's literally Janelle like rolls her eyes. It's so funny. He says like a knife to the kidneys, which is people keep saying a throwback. Let me see if I can pull up the audio for it because it is literally, it's so fucking funny.
He says the weirdest stuff.
The gall of this man.
And I think that's the thing. At the beginning, Phoebe, when we watched the beginning of the show, Phoebe was like, I don't remember what he did specifically the first time that they said this, but it was like he did something like Michael Scott, and then as he kept getting worse, we were like, this is why like Michael Scott or what's her name? What's the mom in Arrested Development?
Oh, Lucille Bluth.
Yes, Lucille Bluth are hilarious characters, but if they're real people, they are awful people.
You don't want to know
them.
You
don't want them to be your parent or your husband or your wife or whoever.
Are you ready?
Yes.
For the audio, okay.
The sacrifices that I made to love you. Wasted.
Wasted. He put his whole vibrato.
He also he doesn't actually cry.
No.
Like it's like clear that he is like wavering his voice as if he's about to cry, and maybe he is. But
this man's embarrassing.
He's not actually crying.
He's I cannot imagine.
And he has actually cried on the show. I think when he really thought Truly was gonna die. Like he was,
which is also so interesting because this season we finally heard them talk about that experience, and he's like, "Yeah, because Christine thinks that I almost killed Truly," and it's the first time they've mentioned that. Because as a person watching the show, it is obvious that he almost killed Truly, and you're like, "How did no one ever discuss this as a family?" And it's clear that it just happened off camera, which is great.
Yeah,
just totally fine. But he's like, "Our relationship has continued to go downhill since then," and I'm like, "Right, you let her kid who had the flu." Because the moms were gone. That kid didn't get any fucking liquids and was severely dehydrated and then had to go on dialysis at age 3. And then almost died in the hospital because 3-year-olds aren't supposed to be on dialysis.
And he, when he says, well, she thinks I almost killed Truly, he says something like, I had, 18 kids to take care of. Like, the older kids are supposed to be watching her. And it's like, it's not...
He can't even take any responsibility for anything.
No.
And that's the thing.
And parents do, everybody fucks up. There are parents whose kids... almost drowned because they turned around for 2 minutes. And that's not what this was. You know what I mean? This wasn't a moment.
No, but I'm sure that
this is days of her not getting enough fluids.
If he could have said to Christine, I am so sorry. I cannot believe that I did that. I was so overwhelmed with everything else that was happening, and that was no excuse. And holy shit, I cannot believe that I fucked up this bad. And Cody Brown would never say that.
No.
Not in his fucking life would that man ever say anything fucking like that. There's no way. He twists. He's a taker, but he twists everything to fit his own narrative. And I don't fucking know if it's lead poisoning.
Oh my god, there's also this whole thing. I think we talked about it in the last one, but there's this whole season-long thing on Coyote Pass about how they're gonna divvy up the land.
Oh my god.
And Mary makes one offhanded comment, and it does start as Mary's fault in my opinion, because she knows what she's doing by making an offhanded comment, which is another reason I think she might be a narcissist. My mom does the same thing. But it's she says like, oh, well, I don't really know if I want to be in the trees. But that's all she says. She doesn't
Yeah.
say, I definitely don't want this part of the property. I think I'm going to have to rethink how I build my house if there's this many trees.
Yeah.
Oh, I might have to cut down some trees. She doesn't say anything like that. She just makes one
No.
sentence comment.
Yeah.
And Cody takes it and starts whispering in all the wives' ears like, well, Mary doesn't want that other one, so let's change everything, without talking about it to Mary. So then he convinces Robin to trade with Mary without ever talking to Mary or Robin really about it.
Yeah.
Then the next time they go to the place, he's like, well, now Robin's going to be there, Mary's going to be here. Mary's like, oh, I thought I was getting the one with all the trees. And he's like, well, you said you didn't want the trees. And she's like, no, I said I wasn't sure if I wanted all the trees, but
Yeah.
I didn't know you changed everything. And he's like, well, I changed it to try to make you happy. And that's just one example of many times.
And Robin's like, you told me I was last pick and that I got the trees. What do you mean I could have chosen? Like, what
Yeah.
do you mean that Mary wants the trees? I don't really want the trees. And it's like the way that Robin phrases everything that she's saying is so calculated in that interaction, because it's clear that she's not trying to upset Mary and she's not trying to upset Cody, but and they finally figure out where that fucking breakdown in communication came from. And it's because Cody thought that his decision that he was making to rephrase something that Mary had said was going to make it better for all of the wives, and it was going to be his problem he was going to deal with by himself and not have to worry them. Obviously.
And that's what happens over and over. We said it in the last episode, but it's like he's always playing a game of telephone that's just for him.
It's not
that
a
he
crime.
fucks up on purpose.
It is not a crime to be stupid. It is a crime to be so blatantly ignorant and uncommunicative, and everything about the way that he talks to them and doesn't talk to them. It's like he hears information. Of the 100% information, he's receiving 70%. He takes the 20% of that he likes, blows it up into 400% and gives everybody else that.
Yeah.
And it's like, how did you make that something completely different from what it was? I don't know. Is he a compulsive liar? It's like he's compulsive lying to himself.
He acts like...
Because he thinks that he's right about all of it.
Yeah.
He's like, Christine hates me and thinks I'm a terrible father, and she's taking Truly away from me and I'm never going to get to see her. And Christine, to his face and to the camera and to Truly, is like, I'm so excited that he has expressed an interest in wanting to see Truly more. I would love for us to have 50-50. I will drive up here from Utah to fucking drop her off to hang out every other week. That's totally cool.
Yes.
I can do that. We just need to figure out a driving schedule. And he's like, see, she's a bonkers, unhinged person who hates me and wants to steal my children. And that's nuts.
He's just, he is a bad man.
Yeah.
He's a
bad man.
Worse father.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any fixing him. And I think that's the difference, is I feel like, I feel like a little bit he doesn't know any better, because he also grew up in the religion, and he could have lead poisoning, but there, some of it I'm like, okay, it's not super his fault.
Yeah.
As far as him feeling like he needs to fix everything, especially when it seems to come from him feeling like he needs to, unless he is controlling it, if that makes sense, which is how it feels later.
Yeah.
I think that's in theory coming from a good place of trying to be the husband to these 4 women. He's trying to be the fixer, and then later it just really feels like he wants to control the problem versus help everyone fix it as a family.
Yeah.
And that is different.
He continually thinks that he's helping, but he just is so bad at it.
There's no way he continues to think that he's helping.
No,
he's
that's
doing
true.
so
That's
bad.
true. I think because he was so bad at helping, and everyone hated when he was helping so much because he
it's
didn't
like he's
ask
doing,
anybody. He was like, "Never mind, it's not your fucking choice anymore."
It's like
Fucking
he's
get
doing
what you get."
weaponized incompetence, but it's like it with communicating. So he'll be like, "Well, I never know how to say anything right anyway, so I just don't talk to them anymore."
Oh my god, that's such
That is such
It very much aligns with the viewpoints that are
I'll
being
call
shoved
him.
down his throat. Cody Brown,
I've
you're watching
solved
too much Fox News,
your problem.
and it's obvious from the way that
just,
you talk to everyone. Jesus.
I don't know. And even I think the other thing is, like I said, it really does feel like, as a person who watches the show at least, it really does feel like Robin wants the whole family to get together. So when Christine first announced that she's leaving, Robin's like, well, is there someone else? If you have another man, why don't you just marry him and have him live on the property with us, and you can still be part of the family.
That's true.
Christmas, and I think that would work for Robin.
Well, no, it would work for Robin, but Christine is like, no, your presence is part of the problem.
Yeah.
I don't want to be a part
I don't want to watch my husband, who I used to think that I love, have a nice relationship with someone else, and that's fair.
because it's been hurting her for years and years, and so she needs time to be away from that. And also, Cody just sucks. He would micromanage everything that she does and be like, I'm the one in charge of this property. You guys bought it from
I think
me.
the other thing
she
is
would never be
they
happy.
talk a lot about jealousy, because what happens is if you're like the first wife and then the second wife comes in, you're jealous of the second wife, and the second's jealous of the third, and such, and they only talk about it in that context. But like, it is not just there's a new hot young thing. Like that whole family, anytime they bring up jealousy, they talk about how they should essentially like squash it. And I think something in like ethical non-monogamy and ethical monogamy is that you can't control if you are jealous.
No.
That's not going to happen.
No.
Another instance that is still jealousy is Mary being jealous that everyone else has more kids than her.
Yeah.
And that does suck.
Yeah.
It hurt. I mean, I can't speak for Mary, but like, we are still not pregnant, and
Yeah.
it does hurt every time a friend of ours gets pregnant, even though we are happy for them. And like, that is still jealousy.
But it's not that person's problem.
No, it isn't.
I would never be like, hey, it's hurting my heart to see very sweet pictures of your baby sometimes. Like, obviously, I'm not going to put that on that person.
But what we would have to do, and we don't currently, but when we first started our miscarriage, what we would do is unfollow those friends,
Yeah.
or
mute them,
or whatever. And like, if we lived in the same cul-de-sac as them, we wouldn't be able to do that.
Yeah. And also just like it's a conversation that we have of
Yes.
like, oh, I saw like such and such on so and so story.
It's a conversation
and, like,
we have with each other, and like, even to some of our closer
you gotta
friends.
process that.
We've had friends text us before their announcements because they care about us.
Yeah.
And they're like, hey, if you need to block us or whatever, totally get it. And when we announce, like, you know, when we have other friends who have infertility, we'll
Yeah.
probably privately message them, because
Hey,
it's
this is a heads
about
up.
setting everyone up for success. But again, it does come back to jealousy, which is a normal emotion that doesn't necessarily need to be squashed. It just
Yeah.
needs to be like handled. And
Yeah.
how they talk about it is like, I don't need to be jealous because like, it means that like Heavenly Father has put another person in like my husband's life.
Yeah.
And da 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 da. And what it should be is like, the reason I'm feeling jealous is because I'm feeling like I'm missing something that I want, and that is something that I have to deal with, and maybe talk about with, you know, that other person, but especially talk about with my
How can I
partner.
work on getting that thing, or how can I work on dealing with the fact that I can't have that thing,
Yes.
or how can I have something else in my life that I'm hyper fixated on, such as a terrible reality TV show or a doctor show.
Right.
Like, there are other ways to deal with that, and it's just like
It's not what they're doing.
no.
I don't know. I do feel like if I could have like just a day with each of the wives, I feel like I could solve a lot of their problems.
That's so funny.
And I guess maybe that's how you always feel when you watch a show like this.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know. The newest update, because we now follow a lot of them on Instagram. Just some of our favorites, not all of them.
No.
But I follow Christine. Oh, I took a screenshot. I was the first person to like her post yesterday. It had been up for like 30 seconds.
Oh my, so
I was
glad.
the first like.
Wow.
Yeah.
I love that. I'm obsessed with Christine.
But
so
she just
cute.
announced her new boyfriend, which
Yeah.
it's been about a year since her and Cody split. It just doesn't feel that long because the episode just came out.
Yeah.
Like a few months ago. But she has like a new boyfriend. His daughter is on TikTok.
Yeah, I saw that. It was
I-
really cute.
I didn't follow her because I like want her to have, you know, unless she, I don't know. I didn't want to like.
Be weird.
Yeah, it seems weird to follow someone just because they're the daughter of someone who's dating someone you know from a reality show. You know what I mean? Like, that's
Yeah.
a bit extensive.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, we follow a couple of them. That's the biggest news. Gwendolyn is engaged, as we said, and then she just had her like bridal shower, which was really cute.
Yeah.
And then we know that Logan got married. Gwen did a post about it. But there weren't any photos of Logan on anyone's that I follow, at least, which makes sense because I'm sure Logan and his girl, who he's been dating for a long time, were like, hey, we don't really want it. Both of them have private Instagrams.
Yeah.
And that good for them. If they don't want anyone to see them, like,
No.
that's fair.
Yeah.
But yeah, what I hope for at least all the kids is that they feel like they have control over how they are perceived and what they're allowed to share, versus like when they were kids and they didn't get to decide how the show was edited or decide if they were even going to be on the show. Or so if like half of them want to be influencers,
Fuck it up.
good for them.
Yeah.
That's great. But like everyone else who wants to just kind of be left alone, Leon's not really an influencer. They have a lot of followers.
Yeah.
They don't post that much. They clearly don't really want to, but I think they just don't mind people seeing the few things they do post.
Yeah.
And if they deleted their Instagram tomorrow, that would also be fair.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah.
But I hope that they all go to therapy.
Yeah.
I hope that nobody's on the show who doesn't want to be.
Yeah.
I do know Christine's still going to be on the new. I think they're going to continue following all of them.
Oh yeah. That's
And
what she had said.
I think they'll have to, because nobody would watch if it was just Cody and Robin.
No.
No one cares. What I would not be surprised is if they did essentially a split off that's called like Lives After Wives or something like that, where they did like just the sister wives on one
know.
and then just Cody and Robin on the other.
I don't know. I feel like because of how big Sister Wives has gotten recently because of the split up, they're going to want to like hold on to that like branding.
That's true.
You know, and like, you know, I hope they're all getting paid.
There are
except
people
for
who make
Cody.
like Team Janelle and Team Christine shirts, which I think is cute.
I don't know. That it doesn't freak me out exactly. I don't know.
I think if they want to make those shirts, then Christine
Oh.
and Janelle should sell them.
Yeah, that would be really funny. My Sister Wives closet, except for it's just
Just,
curly pops.
I would wear one that says like, I don't think Cody Brown deserves rights. But I don't know if there's a market for a shirt like that.
I want someone to make that, but I don't want it to be us.
No, I want someone to make it, and I want the money to go to like women who
my
are trying to
God.
leave their husband's organization.
Yeah, yeah.
So if you are someone who knows how to do that, let us know. I think it's a good idea. He's a rude man.
No,
The
you're
rest of them
right.
can have rights. I just, there's no fixing him.
no.
And everyone else, I feel like with enough therapy, maybe
he's too far gone.
yeah.
He's too far gone. He's fucked up too many people.
And so now he doesn't get rights.
Sorry.
I make the laws.
Sorry, Cody Brown. My wife says you don't have rights anymore.
Yeah.
So
Good luck.
Yeah. Nice try trying to get somebody to put in hair plugs on your skin headband that you've got there. Because you have no rights.
Listen, we're trying to be better about making fun of people's appearances.
No, I've always been good at not doing that.
That is true.
Morgan's working on it.
I'm working on it.
If
But-
anyone else, I want to be really clear. If you have a skin headband, I support you. If you have a little bald, if you have a little hair tuft of unicorn hair, and then a bald skin headband, and then the rest of your hair, that is fine. I don't like Cody Brown, and I don't have to. That's how I feel. It's how I feel.
Yeah. Well, he doesn't have rights now, so.
Yeah, so I have the right to roast him
Yeah.
for his skin headband.
Yeah.
I wouldn't call it that about anybody else. I would say, what an interesting choice they've made with their hair. How fun.
Have fun.
How fun. How neat. Okay, I think that's the whole podcast.
And that's the end of the podcast.
Thanks for being here.
We don't know when the next one will be. Sorry.
Oh, yeah, never. Sorry. I think I really want to do one about House, so I guess everybody bully Morgan and let us do one about House. Okay, love you. Bye.